met in 1944 at a little place called the Hi-Hat Theater. We really wasn't dating because we were young. So we sat in a movie together, and we held hands, but my dad was there. He was the operator of the theater. He kept a very close eye on us. So we dated about 3 years. And in that 3 years, in 1 year of it, Herman went into the Army in May of 47.
Yes.
We were little on the outs. You want me to tell what happened? Because he had written a letter to another girl and sent it to me. So when he came home, he stayed 2 days before he came to see me. And some of them told him that we would be married within 3 or 4 months. He said never.
We were up at her home in the living room, and I just got down on my knees and asked her to marry me. No, I didn't do that,
you
but
didn't
I did
get out
ask
on
her
your
to
knees.
marry me. I'd have to walk across that hill over here. It's about 2 miles where I live. And I said Salisbury Hill was awful rough and mighty hard to climb, but I had to make it twice a week to see my Valentine.
We was raised, or I was, on this creek, and she moved over here. And then after I kind of growed up, I left, was working away from home, and she was off in school, and we really didn't know each other. We met up in the road. She was a kind of suitcase, and we got to talking. And
he said, take the suitcase down there, leave it on the porch, and I'll bring it down to you this afternoon. We knew everybody expected us to get married when school was out, so we thought we'd get married a week before school was out. We went and got married. We came back to Whitesburg. Everybody in town knew it. So we didn't pull anything over on anybody. After we married, we had 6 children, and we had a good life together. I don't know, we never thought of what we would. We always managed, if we had a little fuss, we always managed to ask the other to forgive us, and we never did stay mad at each other.
She lived on Line Fork, and I went over there and to see her. Then from that on,
we had a date every weekend for 6 months and got married, and we've been married for 45 years.
Whatever one done, we both done. If we both went, one went somewhere. If we both went somewhere, or were fishing, or were hunting. She used to hunt, and stuff like that.
There's nothing much exciting in our life, but we have been happy together. And not that everything's been perfect. We've both got a little angry sometimes, you know, but we've never fought or left. It never entered my mind to ever get a divorce. I always thought it was for real, and you should marry for love, and that's the way it should be. That's the way I feel, but They just don't work that way anymore.
Well, we got married to stay together. There was no question about it. I didn't think about anything else. And we loved each other, or we'd never got married.
Took me 6 years to persuade her to marry me.
People would work as hard to stay together as they did to get together. There'd never be any divorces.
Things have changed a lot.
People's values have changed. A lot of them don't have any values. A lot of them don't have many morals.
You take all this drinking and drugs and all that kind of stuff, it's affected the family life quite a bit. The family values are not very high. We've always gotten along quite well. We have a little differences every once in a while, just like anybody else would. She bawls me out, and I settle down and just take it. And
You'll have to pray over that.
We didn't get married to get divorced. We got married to stay together. And I imagine we'll be together when the old man calls us.
I made this commitment, you know, to last. I don't want to give up on this no matter what. You know, I intend to go through all the way. And
Well,
you just try harder then, you know.
when you start talking about things getting rough, the rougher they got, the rougher we did. We're stronger now than we was when we first married. I'll tell you that. You know.
Oh, yeah.
See, because love really grows. I mean, it'll grow you together, and if you ain't got it, you'll go apart. And she's I depend on her, now she depends on me. I mean, if I'm sick, whatever, we depend on each other, and
Right.
it's love.
I think the main thing was that we put our trust in God, just to begin with. We just relied on Him, and then, you know, we just worked hard and agreed most of the time. You know, there's always times that you disagree, but you have to give and take a lot in marriage to make it work. You can always work it out if there's real true love there.
Love, it is a funny thing. It's shaped just like a lizard. It twirls its tail around your heart and nibbles at your gizzard. He just come in one evening, and when I hugged him, I felt something, heard something rattle in his pocket, and I asked him what, in his inside coat pocket, and I asked him what it was, and he says, that's their license to get married. Not very romantic, but that was the way it was. And he was very sure of himself. I guess, I wonder what he'd have said if I'd have said, well, I'm not ready to marry him, but he knew it was. When my dad saw him, quick as he looked at him, he knew what they were, and he said, when's this going to happen? I said, well, I was back in the house, and I shouted out to him. I said, well, today, if people gets married on Sunday. He said, that's the very best day in the week that people should get married. He said, that's the most sacred vow besides when you give your hand in church. I thought that was beautiful, and I always remembered it. And we meant it. It says in the sight of God, in the marriage ceremony, it says between these witnesses and in the sight of God, you're joined together in holy matrimony. Then how can people forget them that quick? And it is, when you say that I do, you're saying it in front of God, not just the preacher. You've got to respect your husband. That's one thing a man, if he's makes anything out of himself at all, his wife has to respect him. And if you can't respect a man, just don't marry him. Be willing to forgive if they ask you to forgive. And then understand that they're only human. Although when you fall in love with them, you think they're Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Superman, or if you're a man, you think that of your wife, but they're not. Cupid blinds you. What I miss most about him is their little personal jokes, little things that would be too personal to share with anyone else. And now when something happens, I just want so bad to tell him about it. If it's something I can laugh about, I wish I could tell him. But it's too personal to tell anyone else. And, you know, the Bible says that you're joined together as one. Well, after one dies, you're only half a person, because half of you's in that grave, and you have to go on without that person.
These sacred vows we hold so true. I pledge my love only to you. So long ago, when we were young, I knew that you were the only one. The years passed on, aging us, but not our love. We stayed together